So let's start paper 1, which is a multiple choice question of O level 5070, May, June 2023, variance 11. The duration of this paper is 1 hour. We have 40 questions in this paper and we need to attempt all of them. You cannot use correction fluid in it, cannot write in any barcode, and you can use the calculator. Guys, in this paper, you are not going to get the qualitative analysis notes, which means you need to remember or you need to prepare identification of cations and anions, solubilities and tests for different gases. And also you need to prepare basically a flame test of different metals, which are already given in the qualitative notes. All right. So let's start the paper and let's see what we have in it. In question number 1, in a change of state at constant temperature and pressure, energy is released as stronger forces of attraction form between the particles. Okay. The average distance between the particle changes very little. Okay. Which change of state is being described? Now, gas to liquid is basically condensation. Then liquid to gas is basically boiling. Liquid to solid is basically freezing. And solid to liquid is basically melting. All right. Now, in the first question, energy is released as a stronger force of attraction formed between the particle. Energy is released, which means reaction is exothermic. All right. And you know that melting is endothermic. Endothermic. Liquid to gas, that is boiling, is also endothermic. So obviously B and D are absolutely incorrect. The competition exists between A and C. So obviously C is going to be the right answer because the average distance between the particle changes very little. So gas to liquid and liquid to solid, very little. So basically A would be the right answer because from gas to liquid, there is a change in system from highly irregular to irregular, whereas in C, the arrangement of particle changes from irregular to highly ordered system. All right. So he's asking the very little change in the distance. So distance here is very close together. Particles are very close together in this scenario, but here the particles are a little far away. So I believe A is going to be the right answer. I hope it makes sense to you. Let me see if there is any question regarding this. All right. In a change of state at constant temperature and pressure, energy is released, which means reaction is exothermic, to condensation is exothermic, and freezing exothermic. The average distance between the particle and also the stronger force of attraction forms between the particle. So this has negligible force, this has force of attraction, which means it is stronger than this one. I'm little bit confused between A and C. A stronger force of attraction forms between the particles. So a stronger force of attraction exists between the solid particles because solid particles are closely packed together. So in this context, C would be the right answer. But why not A? The average distance between the particle changes very little from irregular to highly ordered. So I think I should go for C. All right, because of these strong statements. Okay. Question number 2. X, Y, and Z are elements. X and Y are in the same period of the periodic table. Okay. X and Y are in the same period of the periodic table. Fine. Okay. Okay. Y and Z are in the same group of the periodic table. If Y and X and Y are in the same period of the periodic table, which means they have same number of shells. All right. If they are found in the same group of the periodic table, which means they have same number of electrons. All right. Or same number of valence electrons. So same number of valence electrons. Y and Z have same number of valence electrons. So same number of valence electrons is here. Same number of valence electron exists only in B, I believe. Y and Z have same number of electrons, which means Y and this. Okay, and same period means same number of shells. The X and Y have two shells here. I think B is going to be the right answer. Okay, that's the only reason. That's the only option. Question number 3. The number of electrons, protons, and neutrons in 4 different particles are shown. Which particles are isotope of the same element? What is isotope? Isotope is basically the same number of protons. Same number of protons and electrons, but different number of neutrons. Okay. So same number of protons and electrons. Protons and electrons are same. Protons and electrons are same. Protons and electrons are same. Different number of neutrons. So this has different number of neutron. This is wrong absolutely because it has same number of electrons. So third is absolutely incorrect. This has different number of neutrons. Second is also incorrect because they don't have same number of protons and electrons. So I think 1 and 4 is going to be the right option for us. So 1 and 4 means C is going to be the right answer. Okay. I hope it makes sense to you. Question number 4. Some elements about the bonding in magnesium chloride are listed. By the way, bonding in magnesium chloride is ionic because magnesium chloride is an ionic compound. Okay. Each magnesium atom donates 2 electrons. That's absolutely correct statement because magnesium belongs to group 2, and so it has 2 valence electrons, and these 2 valence electrons are lost during the formation of an ionic bond. Whereas each chlorine atom accepts 1 electron. That's also right because chlorine belongs to group 7 element, which means it has 7 valence electrons. So to complete its octet, it will gain only 1 electron. The first statement is absolutely right. All right. Now the next is chlorine forms anion with a 2- charge. That's not acceptable because chlorine will gain 1 electron to complete its octet. So second statement is incorrect. Magnesium atom and chlorine atom share electrons. They cannot share because magnesium is a metal, whereas chlorine is non-metal. When metal and non-metal combine together, an ionic bond is formed. Sharing of electrons always takes place in covalent bond, which means third is also incorrect. Let me check fourth one. Magnesium forms anion with a 2+ charge. That's absolutely correct, which means 1 and 4 is correct, which means B is going to be the right answer. Okay. Let's question number 5. Ethane, C2H6, and ammonia are covalent compounds. The dot and cross diagram of these compounds are shown. See, we have single bond between these two carbon atoms. We have single bond between nitrogen and hydrogen. Okay. Which statements are correct? A molecule of ethane contains twice as many hydrogen atoms as the molecule of ammonia. That's absolutely perfect, because we have 6 hydrogen atoms in ethane. We have 3 hydrogen atoms in ammonia, which means with respect to ammonia, ethane has twice the number of hydrogen atom as molecule of ammonia. Whereas the next statement is unreacted nitrogen atom has 5 outer shell electrons. That's absolutely correct, because nitrogen belongs to group 5, and so it has 5 valence electrons. So it's also right. Now the third statement is, in a molecule of ethane, the bond between the carbon atom is formed by sharing 2 electrons. That's absolutely correct. These 2 electrons are involved in the formation of a covalent bond. So 1 electron from this carbon and 1 electron from this carbon is involved in the sharing. So this statement is also right. So all of them are correct, which means A is going to be the right answer. Okay. Question number 6. When a strip of copper is placed in aqueous silver nitrate, a displacement reaction takes place. That's absolutely correct, because copper is more reactive than silver, which means copper can displace silver ions from its salt. Let me give you the full molecular equation for this. So it's going to be converted into copper nitrate after displacement, and obviously silver metal. Now we have 2 nitrates here, so I need to balance nitrate here. So we have 2 silver atom here, so we need to put 2 here. As you know that this nitrate ion is a spectator ion, which means this spectator ion will cancel out with each other. So I need to cancel nitrate ions. So if I cancel nitrate ions, obviously it's going to be converted into this equation. So examiner is asking what ionic equation for the reaction which takes place. So this is going to be your right answer. Check in which option this equation has been given. So 2Ag plus is here. And I think B is the right answer, because this is copper metal, this is 2Ag plus copper 2 ions. So B is going to be the right answer. Okay. That's a very straightforward question. Question number 7. 3 compounds are listed: calcium carbonate, potassium sulfate, zinc nitrate. Which row shows the element present in the greatest percentage by mass of each compound? Okay, by mass of each compound. So technically, element present in the greatest percentage by mass of calcium carbonate. This is calcium and oxygen. So first of all, I need to find out the percentage of calcium in calcium carbonate. So calcium, the AR of calcium is 40, the MR of calcium carbonate is 100 into 100. Okay. So it's going to be 40%, I believe, right? Let me check. Yeah, I believe 40 divided by 100. So, right? Similarly, I need to find out the percentage of oxygen in calcium carbonate. So calcium, AR of calcium is 16. We have 3 atoms in calcium carbonate, so into 3 divided by 100 into 100. So it's basically 16 times 3 divided by 100 into 100. It's basically 48%. Right? So element in the greatest percentage by mass of calcium carbonate, obviously oxygen has the greatest percentage by mass of in calcium carbonate. So oxygen would be the right answer in this scenario. Let me check potassium sulfate. And for that, we need to consider oxygen and potassium. So let me change the color. The percentage of potassium in potassium sulfate. So 39 multiplied by 2. Because we have 2 potassium and K2SO4. By the way, calcium carbonate has a formula of KCSCO3. Potassium sulfate has a formula of KSO4. And zinc nitrate has a formula of ZnNO3. Okay. So the mass of potassium is 39. We have 2 potassium atoms, so into 2 divided by the MR of potassium sulfate, which we need to find out. 39 times 2 plus 32 plus 16 times 4 is going to be 174 into 100. So let me check. 39 times 2 divided by 174 into 100. So it's basically 44.8. So 44.8%. Okay. Now the next is percentage by mass of oxygen. So oxygen has a mass of 16. We have 4 oxygen atom in the formula. So into 4 divided by the MR, which is 174 into 100. So it's going to be how much? 16 times 4 divided by 174 into 100 is basically 36.78%. So in potassium sulfate, the greatest percentage is basically potassium. All right. Either C or D could be the right answer, but I have to check the zinc nitrate thing. I'm running out of space. Let me check zinc nitrate. The percentage by mass of zinc, first of all. Zinc has a mass of 65. We have 1 zinc atom into 1 divided by the MR of zinc nitrate. Wait, 14 plus 16 times 3. 14 plus 16, hold on. 14 plus 16 times 3 into 2, 124. Oops, 14 plus 16 times 3, 62 into 2 plus 65, 189 into 100. So 65 divided by 189 into 100 is basically 34.39%. Then we have percentage of oxygen in this scenario. So we have 16, mass of oxygen is 16. We have how many atoms in zinc nitrate? I think 6 divided by 189 into 100. Let me check. That's a lengthy question, guys. 16 times 6 divided by 189 into 100 is going to be 50.79. So 50.79 is the greatest one here. Potassium in this case and oxygen in this case. So I think D is going to be the right answer. Okay, that's a lengthy question. Anyhow, question number 2. 2 aqueous solution Q and R have the same concentration in mole per dm². So they will have the same concentration. All right. Solution Q contain 4 gram of NaOH in 500 cm³ of solution. Which solution could be solution R? Okay. So I have a mass of sodium. So I can find the moles of NaOH. So 4 divided by 40 is going to be 0.1 mole. Okay. So in 500 cm³, we have 0.1 mole. So in 1000 cm³, because we need to find out the concentration, So into 1000 divided by 500 is going to be 0.2 molar. Okay. So I need to check which one has 0.2 mole per dm cube concentration. So one by one, this is going to be very, very tough because I have to check every option. So first of all, let me give you this one. So 250 cm cube gives you 0.2 mole. So in order to get concentration, we need to compare it with 1000. So 250, sorry, 0.2 into 1000 divided by 250 is going to be 0.8 mole per dm cube. Obviously, the concentration needs to be the same, which means option A is incorrect. Let me check B. 100 cm cube gives you 0.2 mole. So 1000 cm cube gives you how much? So 0.2 into 1000 divided by 100. 2 mole per dm cube. Obviously, B is also incorrect. Let me check C. The 250 cm cube has 0.05 moles. So in order to convert it into concentration, compare it with 1000. So 0.05 into 1000 divided by 250. That's going to be 0.2 molar. So this is going to be my right answer because both of them have same concentration now. C is going to be the right answer. Okay, I hope it makes sense to you, but that's a tough question. Next, question number 9. Again, calculation. Sample of 2 hydrated compounds are weighed and then dehydrated by heating. The anhydrous compound are weighed and the results are shown. What are the values of X and Y? Okay. 3.97 gram of FeSO4.XH2O gives 2.17 gram of anhydrous FeSO4. So this is hydrated and this is anhydrous. If I subtract these two values, I'll get the mass of water, right? So mass of anhydrous FeSO4 is 2.17 and we need to find out the mass of water. So what we can do is we need to subtract 3.97 minus 2.17. You will going to get how much? 3.97 minus 2.17, 1.8 moles. Okay, 1.8 grams. Now we need to divide this. So we need to divide this by 152 to get the number of moles. Divide by 18. Divide by 18, it's going to be 0.1 mole. 2.17 divided by 152 is going to be 0.01. Really? 2.17 divided by 0.01. So divide by 0.01 divided by 0.01. So 0.1 divided by answer is going to be 7. So this is 1 and this is 7. So value of X in this scenario is 7. Okay, either C or D could be the right answer. Okay, this was the first one. All right. Let me give you the second one. 2.88 gram of hydrated calcium sulfate gives 2.27 gram of anhydrous calcium sulfate. So what we can do is we have calcium sulfate and we have water. So this 2.27 divided by 136 and water basically is 2.88 minus 2.27. So you will get what? 7. You will get 0.61. So I need to divide by 80. So 2.27 divided by 136 is going to be 0.01 moles. Okay. In order to calculate moles of water, we need to divide by 18. So it's going to be 0.03333. Obviously, this is going to be the least. 0.01 is going to be the least value. So this is going to be 1. And how much about it? Divided by 0.01. So it's going to be 3.3. Did I miss? Oh my goodness. Let me check my calculation again. 3.3, there is no 3. 2.88 minus 2.27 is going to be 0.61. 0.61 divided by 18. 0.0338. Okay. 2.27 divided by 136. 0.01. 0.03. Oh, that's 1.79, guys. So technically it is 2. Okay. So 2. So right answer is going to be D. Okay. Question number 10. Question number 10 is tricky. Why it's tricky? What has a mass equal to the mass of 1 mole of water? So 1 mole of water has a mass of 18 gram, right? Because 1 mole of water is a mass of 18 gram because the MR of water is 18. Now 24. Oh my God, my bad. Wait. 24 dm cube of water at room temperature and pressure. Okay. 24 dm cube of water at room temperature and pressure. By the way, 24 dm cube is the volume of a gas at RDP. And water is a liquid. This is the volume of gas at RDP. So this is not going to be the correct option because that represents the volume of gas, not the mass of water. Okay. Because 24 dm cube of water is not possible. This is 24 dm cube of steam. Should be 24 dm cube of steam, right? Anyhow, 1 mole of steam at 200 degrees Celsius and 100 kilopascal and 1 atm pressure. So 1 mole of steam is basically equals to 18 gram of water, which is right. So it is also as 118 gram of water. It is also 118 gram of water. I believe B is going to be the right answer. But the question is there any temperature and pressure effect on this scenario? I don't think so. Temperature and pressure conditions has any effect on the mass of the steam. All right. So technically, temperature and pressure condition do not change the mass of steam. All right. Also, one more thing which you need to remember is mole is based on the constant number of molecules, not conditions. Okay. So I believe B is going to be the right answer. Anyhow, let me talk about C option. 1 molecule of water at room temperature and pressure. So 1 molecule of water is always equals to 6.02 times 10 to the power 23 particles, right? So that's not going to be the correct option, obviously. Next part. 2 moles of hydrogen molecules and 1 mole of oxygen molecules. So number of molecules has nothing to do with the mass. So that's not the correct statement either. So B is going to be the right answer. Okay. Question number 11. Concentrated aqueous sodium chloride is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Which row shows what happens in this electrolysis and why it happens? Sodium chloride. So we have concentrated solution of sodium chloride. We have sodium ions here, we have chloride ions here, we have hydrogen ions here, we have hydroxide ions here. All right. Since it is a concentrated solution, which means chloride ion will discharge first from the electrolyte. So chloride ion discharge at anode in the form of chlorine gas. On the other hand, hydrogen ions are discharged first from the electrolyte in the form of hydrogen gas at cathode. So equation is going to be like this. Okay, let me check. Oxygen is discharged at anode. Incorrect, because chlorine solution is concentrated, so chlorine is going to be discharged. Next is during electrolysis, the pH of the electrolyte increases. The pH of the electrolyte could increases because the remaining sodium and hydroxide ions combine together to give sodium hydroxide, which makes the electrolyte alkaline. And if the electrolyte is alkaline, which means the pH is going to be greater than 7. So I believe this statement is right. Explanation. The electrolysis in aqueous solution involves the reduction of hydrogen ions. That's true. Hydrogen ions gains electron at cathode and converted into hydrogen gas, which means the remaining hydroxide ions and sodium ions combine together to give sodium hydroxide, which makes the solution alkaline. So that's the indirect explanation for this whole scenario. And I believe B is going to be the right answer. Let's talk about other options. Solid sodium is produced. Solid sodium, hydrogen gas is given off. Sodium cannot discharge from the electrolyte because the solution is aqueous, because the medium is aqueous. So obviously it's going to be incorrect. Always remember, the sodium being a metal is always produced at cathode when we use any molten condition or molten sodium chloride. Okay, let's talk about option D. The product stays the same if the aqueous sodium chloride is replaced by molten sodium chloride. If it is molten, obviously sodium ion is discharged at cathode while chloride ion is discharged at anode. So product is not going to stay the same, which means D also is incorrect. Okay, let's move on. Question number 12. Which statement about the energy changes during a chemical reaction are correct? 1. The activation energy is the maximum energy the colliding particles must have in order to react. That's incorrect statement, because activation energy is basically the minimum amount of energy, right? So first statement is absolutely incorrect. During an endothermic reaction, thermal energy is taken in because energy is absorbed in an endothermic reaction. That's right. From surrounding, leading to the decrease in the temperature of the surrounding. That's absolutely correct. That's what usually happens when an endothermic reaction takes place. When an endothermic reaction takes place, I've told you in the class that energy is absorbed. If energy is absorbed, that is absorbed from surrounding to system, then obviously the temperature of the surrounding decreases. So that's the correct statement. The making of a chemical bond is an exothermic process. Bond forming process is always exothermic. So that statement is also right. So I believe 2 and 3, that C is the right option. Question number 13. Two gases reacts inside a sealed vessel. Which change in conditions would increase the rate of reaction? So examiner is wanted to ask about the increase in the rate of reaction. Increasing the pressure inside the vessel. So if we increase the pressure, obviously number of reacting particles increases, number of effective collision. When we increase the pressure, number of effective collision in a unit time increases, and obviously rate of reaction also increases. Okay, that statement is right. Increasing the temperature inside the vessel. Increasing the temperature increases the kinetic energy and so increases the effective collision in a unit time, and therefore rate of reaction also increases. So this is right also. Okay. Increasing the volume of the vessel. Oh, no, not gonna happen. This is incorrect. Why? Because concentration is always equals to number of moles per unit volume. So if you increase the volume, obviously concentration decreases. And if concentration decreases, effective collision decreases. If effective collision decreases, rate of reaction decreases. All right. So from my perspective, B is going to be the right answer. Question number 14. Catalyst change the rate of chemical reaction, which is statement about the describe the effect of adding a catalyst to the reaction. So all reacting particles have more energy and move faster. Catalyst only lowers the activation energy. All right. So if catalyst lowers the activation energy, obviously cannot have more energy. So first statement is absolutely incorrect. The activation energy is lower. That statement is right. More reacting particles collide with enough energy to react. That's also right, because whenever catalyst is used, it increases the effective collision in a unit time. That indicates that more reacting particles are involved in the collision, and so chemical reaction takes place. So I believe 2 and 3, that is C, is going to be the right answer. All right. Question number 15. The equation for the reaction in the contact process is shown. This process shows that delta H is negative, which means reaction is exothermic. The conditions used are 450 degrees Celsius, 2 atm pressure, and a catalyst. What will be the effects when the temperature is reduced to 250 degrees Celsius and the catalyst is removed? It is an exothermic reaction. So when we decrease the temperature in any exothermic reaction, equilibrium favors towards right-hand side. If equilibrium favors towards right-hand side, obviously yield of sulfur trioxide increases. All right. The yield of sulfur trioxide increases. And from 2 atm pressure, so rate of forward reaction also increase. I think rate of forward reaction. Okay. So when you remove the catalyst, obviously it reduces the rate of reaction. So decreases and decreases, and therefore D is going to be the right answer. Okay. (16) Universal indicator contains several dyes. The reversible reaction of one dye, this is shown. This dye has color X and this ion has color Y. A few drops of universal indicator solution are added to 50 cm cube of water. Okay. A few drops of dilute hydrochloric acid are added to the solution. Okay. Which row describe what happened when the acid is added? When you add acid, obviously it increases the concentration of hydrogen ion. If it increases the concentration of hydrogen ion, then equilibrium favors towards right hand side. If equilibrium favors towards right hand side, color changes from color X to color Y. So color of the solution shift towards Y. And obviously, when you add HCl, which is an acid, and it increases the concentration of hydrogen ion. So according to this expression, pH minus log base 10 concentration of hydrogen ion. So if concentration of hydrogen ion increases, pH value decreases. All right. So pH value is going to be decreases. So right answer is going to be, from my perspective, is B. Okay. Question number 17. The combustion of methane is a redox reaction. Which statement about this reaction is correct? In methane, the oxidation state of carbon is +4, plus -4. In carbon dioxide, the oxidation state of carbon is +4. So basically, carbon is oxidized from -4 to +4. All right. Whereas in oxygen, oxidation state is 0. Over here, the oxidation state is -2. So it's basically decrease in oxidation state. So basically, it's a redox reaction. So carbon is oxidized. That statement is right. Carbon is reduced. Incorrect. Oxygen is oxidized. Incorrect. Oxygen is reduced. That's also correct. So A and D both are correct from my perspective. But I think the marking scheme has given only one option. So that's a strange, by the way. A and B both are correct from my perspective. Okay. That might be the error from the examiner side. So they will give you the benefit of doubt in such questions. All right. Which method of preparation of magnesium sulfate is an example of a redox reaction? Redox is a reaction in which oxidation and reduction takes place simultaneously. And magnesium sulfate is a soluble salt, right? So in order to prepare soluble salt, I will use either magnesium reacting with sulfuric acid, which is already given in option A. So I think A is going to be the right answer. That's a very simple question. And also it is redox. Option B is not redox because the oxidation state of magnesium here is 2 plus. The oxidation state of magnesium here is also 2 plus. So oxidation state of magnesium remains same. Sulfur has an oxidation state of +6. Sulfur has an oxidation state of +6, which means oxidation state of sulfur remains same in both the cases. So option B is incorrect. Magnesium hydroxide and sulfuric acid is reacting together, converting into magnesium sulfate and water. It is an acid, it is an alkali, it is an acid-alkali reaction. An acid-alkali reaction is basically a neutralization reaction, and neutralization is not redox reaction, okay? Again, it is not redox because it is a neutralization reaction also. So only option A is correct. Question number 19. Samples of HCl and HNO3 are tested using universal indicator paper. Sample of HCl has a pH of 4 and a sample of HNO3 has a pH of 2. Which statement is correct? Okay. And sample of HNO3 has a pH of 2. Okay. HCl is a weak acid. HNO3 is a strong acid. HCl basically is a strong acid. This statement is incorrect. Okay. HNO3 has a lower formula mass than HCl. Well, lower formula mass has nothing to do with these pH values. All right. So B is also incorrect. The nitric acid is more concentrated than HCl. Yes, it has a lower pH value, which means it is more concentrated. It has a higher pH value, it is less concentrated, which means nitric acid is more concentrated than HCl. Let's talk about option D. HCl has dissociated more than HNO3. No, I don't think so, because both of them are strong enough to dissociate completely. All right. So I think C is going to be the right answer. Option D, which two substances react to form a salt and water only? Aqueous sodium carbonate and dilute sulfuric acid. Salt and water only. So obviously, along with the salt, you will get carbon dioxide from here. Examiner is asking salt and water only, which means option A is incorrect. Sodium chloride and aqueous silver nitrate. You will get silver chloride and sodium nitrate. So you are not getting water from here. You're not getting water from here. So obviously B option is incorrect. Sodium hydroxide is an alkali. Ethanic acid is an acid. When acid and alkali react together, always salt and water is formed. So salt is going to be sodium ethanoate and water. So option C. All right. Oh, option C is going to be the right answer. My bad. Zinc and hydrochloric acid, it produces hydrogen gas, not water. So this is incorrect. All right, guys. #21. The elements are arranged in groups and periods in the periodic table. Which row is correct? Option A, group determined by number of electrons in the outer shell. That's absolutely correct, because the number of valence electrons represents the group number. Period determined the number of occupied shells. That's also correct. Element in the periodic table are arranged by increasing proton number. That's also correct. I believe A is going to be the right answer. These are the facts actually. Question number 22. Sodium, potassium, and rubidium are in group 1 of the periodic table. Chlorine, bromine, and iodine are in group 7. Which statement is correct? Bromine displaces chlorine. That's not possible. Cannot, because the reactivity of bromine is lower than that of chlorine. So bromine cannot displace chlorine from its aqueous solution. All right. Iodine is discharged at the negative electrode when concentrated aqueous potassium iodide is electrolyzed, is the negative electrode. Negative electrode is basically the cathode. And anions always goes towards anode, not cathode. So iodine should discharge at anode instead of cathode, which means it is also incorrect. Rubidium has a greater tendency to form positive ions than potassium. That's absolutely correct, because I've told you in the class that down the group, atomic size of the element increases. If atomic size of the element increases, nucleus to valence electron attraction decreases. If nucleus to valence electron attraction decreases, removal of electron becomes easier. The formation of positive ions becomes easier. The reactivity also increases, which means C is going to be the right answer. Okay. Which statement about transition elements and their compounds are correct? So talk about transition elements and their compounds. So copper 2 oxide catalyzes the conversion of sulfuric acid to copper 2 sulfate. Oh, that's right. Okay. So copper 2 oxide is basically the reagent involved in the reaction. So it is not acting as a catalyst. So option 3 is incorrect. Option A is incorrect for question number 23. Okay. Iron allows hydrogen and nitrogen to react at a lower temperature. That's right. Whenever hydrogen and nitrogen react together, iron is used as a catalyst. All right. So when catalyst is used, we need low temperature. So I think B is going to be the right answer. But let me check option C. Nickel increases the rate of reaction between hydrogen and saturated hydrocarbon. Nickel is used when hydrogen and unsaturated hydrocarbons are used. So this is incorrect. It must be unsaturated. Okay. Vanadium 5 oxide speeds up the oxidation of sulfur to sulfur dioxide. No, because vanadium 5 oxide is basically a catalyst used when sulfur dioxide is reacted with air in the presence of oxygen to give sulfur dioxide. The vanadium pentoxide is going to be catalyzed, is going to catalyze this reaction instead of this reaction. Okay, so that's incorrect. Question number 24, three statements about the properties of metals are shown. All metals conduct electricity. That's absolutely perfect because metal contains sea of electrons. All right, all metals have two electrons in their innermost shells. Only group 2 elements. Oh, that's very. All metals have two electrons in their innermost shell. So in the first shell, all of them contain two electrons. That's also a statement, right? All contain two electron in K shell. And which was the first shell, right? All metals have high melting point. Also, it's correct. Which statement are correct? Only the 1, 2, and 3. Is there any option given in the scenario? All metals have high melting point. Oh, yes. It could be. It's not possible because transition metals have high melting point. Whereas group 1 and group 2 element have low melting points. So that's not true for all metals. So yes, some metals have high, some metals have low, which means third option is incorrect, and therefore 1 and 2. So A is going to be the right answer for question number 24. Question number 25. Which statement about metals and their uses are correct? Aluminum is used to make overhead electric cables. That's right. Why? Because it has low density. That's also right. Okay. Aluminum is used to make food container. That's right. Because it is resistant to corrosion. That's also right. Copper is used to make electrical wiring because it is ductile. That's also correct. Because copper is malleable and ductile. So all of them are correct. And therefore D is the right answer. Question number 26. Stainless steel is an alloy. It contains iron and more than one other element. Which elements other than iron are commonly used in the stainless steel? Stainless steel. So I've told you in the class that you should remember the composition of different alloys, and I've given the list of certain alloys in which stainless steel was there as well. Stainless steel is a mixture of iron, carbon, and nickel. The symbol of nickel is Ni. So nickel and carbon along with iron. The C is going to be the right answer. Okay. Now, question 25, 26, 27. All right, question 27. The equation for some of the reactions of metal Q, R, and T are shown. QNO3 plus copper gives you this. R and TSO4 gives you this. Okay. Using the equation, what is the order of reactivity of Q, R, and T? Okay. First of all, R is more reactive than T because R can displace T in the form of metal. Okay, so R is more reactive than T. All right. Q. whereas Q is more reactive than copper. No, in fact, copper is more reactive than Q because copper can displace Q from its salt solution. All right, so copper is more reactive than Q. And T is more reactive than hydrogen because it can displace hydrogen in the form of hydrogen gas. So T most reactive. Most reactive. T is least reactive, I believe. Q. T is more reactive than hydrogen. If T is more reactive than hydrogen, then obviously it is more reactive than copper. No. Most reactive. I think R is more reactive because T is more reactive than hydrogen, R is more reactive than T, and copper is more reactive than Q. So that indicates that R is the most reactive one. The most reactive one is R, and the least reactive one could be Q, because copper can displace Q. That means Q is less reactive than copper. So Q is less reactive than copper. I think C is going to be the right answer. Okay, because Q is less reactive than copper, and T is more reactive than hydrogen. That means T has to be between these two. That's the only option left. 28. Zinc is used to galvanize iron, which prevents the iron from rusting. Which statements are correct? The layer of zinc forms a barrier between iron and oxygen and water in the atmosphere. All right. And that's the right statement because that's called sacrificial protection, because zinc is more reactive, so it will oxidize preferentially as compared to iron if oxygen and water is there in the atmosphere. So first statement is right. Next, zinc will oxidize before iron does because zinc is more reactive, even if the layer of zinc is scratched. Obviously, if the layer of zinc is scratched, obviously zinc will oxidize and form the oxide layer. So it prevents the formation, it prevents the rusting of iron in this scenario. The second statement is also right. When iron rusts, atoms of iron gain electrons to form ions. Ouch. Iron is metal. Metal never gain electrons. It loses electron, which means it's wrong. Third statement is wrong, and therefore A is going to be the right answer. Question number 29. 3 statement about the extraction of aluminum are shown. The electrolyte is aluminum oxide dissolved in molten cryolite. Okay. The electrolyte is aluminum oxide dissolved in molten cryolite. That statement is right, because molten cryolite is used to dissolve aluminum oxide. Also, it causes to reduce the melting point of aluminum oxide. So the first statement is right. Carbon is used for both the cathode and anode. That's true. Graphite is basically carbon. So carbon is used as an electrode both at cathode and anode. Carbon dioxide is given off at the cathode. Carbon dioxide is given off at the cathode. You can say that because carbon, when react with oxygen, then it will turn to carbon dioxide. So that's also correct. Which statement are correct? No, my bad. Hang on. That's correct, but that's not correct because it's not given off at cathode. It's basically given off at anode. Okay, because at anode oxygen gas is given off. So if oxygen gas is given off at anode, so obviously at anode, oxygen gas can react with carbon and forms carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide technically is given off at anode instead of cathode. Okay. So I believe 1 and 2 is the right answer. A is the right answer. What causes the deoxygenation of water in the lake? I think that's the eutrophication process. And in eutrophication, the fertilizers plays a key role in the deoxygenation of water. And I think D is going to be the right answer. Question number 31. Dissolved substances can cause eutrophication and deoxygenation of water. How many of the ions shown cause this effect? So we need nitrate, we need phosphate, because we usually apply phosphate and nitrate based fertilizers on the soil. So I think 2 is going to be the right answer. Okay. Which statement about global warming is correct? Global warming is basically the rise of the temperature of the Earth's surface. So global warming is because of the greenhouse gases, and greenhouse gases includes methane gas, right? So methane produced by digestion in animal and has no effect on the rate of global warming. Methane is a greenhouse gas. It has an effect on the rate of global warming. So option A is incorrect. The product of the burning of fossil fuels have no effect on the rate of global warming. The product of burning fossil fuels have no effect on the rate of fossil fuel produces carbon dioxide. Obviously, the burning of fossil fuel produces carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas and it has an effect on global warming. So I think B is also incorrect. The product of decomposition of vegetation has no effect on the rate of global warming. Vegetation of decomposition of vegetation is basically the formation of methane. That's basically the formation of methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas. So it has an effect. Option C is incorrect. Right answer is going to be D. The products of photosynthesis has no effect on the rate of global warming. That's true. Photosynthesis is basically the formation of glucose. And along with the formation of glucose, you will get oxygen gas. So oxygen has no effect on the global warming. And so glucose. Question number 33. The structure of 3 compounds W, X, and Y are shown. This W is basically alcohol. This is basically carboxylic acid. And this is also basically alcohol. Okay. Which statement about these 3 compounds are correct? These 3 compounds are correct. W and Y are both alcohols. W and Y both are alcohols. That's true. And X is the carboxylic acid. That's true. The first statement is right. W, X, and Y have the same molecular formula. Let me count carbon atom. We have 3 carbon atom in S. We have 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 2, 8 hydrogen atoms. And we have 2 oxygen atom. All right, we have 3 carbon atom here. We have 3 to 5 and 6 hydrogen atom, and we have 2 oxygen atom. So I think so the formula, molecular formula are not same, because we have 6 oxygen here, we have 8 oxygen atoms here. So I think second statement is incorrect. W and Y both are structural isomers. We have how many? Let me count the third formula. 1, 2, 3 carbon atom. How many hydrogens? 3 plus 3, 6, 6, 7, 8, and 2 oxygen. So see, both of them have same molecular formula, but both of them have different structural formula, which means both of them are structural isomers of each other. So third statement is right, and therefore 1 and 3 is the correct answer. Okay. Question 34. What is the disparate formula of propyl methanoate? Propyl methanoate. Propyl methanoate. Methanoate is basically this one, and propyl is basically this one. Propyl belongs to propyl, comes from alcohol. So this is the structure of propyl methanoate. This is propyl, and this is methanoate. This is propyl, and this is methanoate. So D is going to be the right answer. Okay. This is carboxylic acid, which is why it is incorrect. Also, remember that propyl methanoate is basically an ester. So we are looking for the ester, right? So this is your ester, this is your ester, this is your ester. By the way, why it is incorrect? Because it is ethyl ethanoate. Okay. And why B is incorrect? Because it is methyl propanoate. All right. Question 35. The table shows some of the fractions obtained by the fractional distillation of petroleum and their uses. Which rows are correct? Bitumen is used in the making of road. That's correct. Now the next is kerosene, or which is also called paraffin, is used in feedstock. That's incorrect. Kerosene is used for cooking and something, right? Not for kerosene is used in kerosene oil and something. Naphtha is jet fuel. No. Refinery gases, heating and cooking purposes. For cooking purposes, I think 1 and 4 is the right answer. That's the only option left. 36. Which equation shows the reaction of ethane and chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet light? I've told you in the class, okay, if methane and chlorine are reacting together, converting into chloromethane and water, chloromethane and HCl, examiner gonna ask you the same concept for ethane also. And here is the question. So when ethane and chlorine are reacting together, they will turn to chloroethane and HCl. So I think option C is going to be the right answer. Okay. Question number 37. Hexane 3-ol is an alcohol. Okay. How many molecules of oxygen are needed for the complete combustion of one molecule of hexane 3-ol? Let me determine the molecular formula of hexane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atom. How many hydrogen atoms? 3 plus 2, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 hydrogen atoms. And we have 1 oxygen, right? So when oxygen is used, it undergoes combustion reaction and converted into water. Let me put it in this way, right? So how many hydrogen atoms? 14. How many carbon atoms? 6. Balanced. Let's balance the oxygen atom. 6 times 2, 12. 12 times 7, 19. So 19. 6 times 2, 6 to 12, 12 plus 7, 12 plus 7, 19. 19. We have 1 oxygen here. So I need 18. 18, 18, 7 to the 14, 8 to the 16, 9 to the 18. This is 9. Okay. So I think A is going to be the right answer. An organic compound P is dissolved in water. The concentration of the solution is 0.1 mole per dm cube and the pH is 3. A solid is added to the solution and effervescence is seen. Okay. Which equation could represent this reaction? This pH shows that the solution is acidic. Okay. And when you add, okay, I mean, this compound is basically is an acidic. And when you add solid to the solution, effervescence is seen. So when you add acid and metal, they are reacting together, converting into effervescence of hydrogen gas. Okay. Now the next is when you add acid and carbonates, then obviously effervescence of carbon dioxide gas is given off. So either it could be any metal or either it could be any carbonates. So when we talk about magnesium, it is reacting with ethanoic acid. It is converted into magnesium ethonate and hydrogen gas, and that's a balanced chemical equation also. This might be correct. Okay, this could be the right answer. When magnesium is treated with ethanoic acid, magnesium ethonate and hydrogen gas is given off, but the issue is the formula is incorrect, which means B option is incorrect. When ethanoic acid and potassium carbonate is reacting together, converting into potassium ethanoate, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen, again, this formula is incorrect. Potassium has a charge of +1 and ethanoate has a charge of -1. So if we cross multiply these two, we'll get potassium ethanoate. Instead of this is going to be the right formula. So it must be incorrect. Okay. When potassium carbonate is reacting with HCl, it is converting into potassium chloride, carbon dioxide, and water. Okay. That's little confusing. But that's not an organic compound because examiner has said organic compound. This is inorganic acid. Okay. Which is why D is incorrect and therefore A is going to be the right answer. Let's talk about 39. A paper chromatography experiment is used to find an RF value of Fe3+. The chromatogram is shown. Okay, to make the spot containing Fe3+ more visible, the paper is sprayed with aqueous sodium hydroxide so that a precipitate of iron 3 hydroxide forms. Okay. In a chromatogram, the RF of Fe3+ is given by RF. So RF is basically the distance traveled by solute over solvent. So this is distance for solvent and this is distance traveled by solute. Okay, so it's basically x over y. If you need to find out the RF for this particular, this x over y is here. So either A or B, right? Iron 3 hydroxide has a red brown precipitates according to salt analysis. So red brown is here, and I believe A is going to be the right answer. Okay, so in gap 1 it must be x over y, and the color of the precipitate is basically red brown. All right, question number 40, that is going to be the last question. A laboratory has a powered mixture of solid iodine and solid carbon. Iodine is very soluble in hexane. That's true. That's very, very important statement. And slightly soluble in water. Carbon is insoluble in both solvent. One sample of the mixture is shaken with hexane. This is X. So in this X, iodine is soluble in hexane. Carbon cannot. This is for X. Another sample of the mixture is shaken with water. This is Y. So in this scenario, carbon remains insoluble and iodine is slightly soluble. Which procedure is used to prepare pure sample of iodine? So for pure sample of iodine, so iodine is dissolved more in hexane. Okay, so X is basically distilled. Okay, that's distilled, and the distillate is evaporate to dryness. But the issue is one is soluble and one is insoluble. So we are going to go for the filtration instead of distillation, right? So I think A is incorrect. X is filtered. That's right, because we need to go for filtration because one is soluble and other one is insoluble. So that's the right statement. And the filtrate is allowed to evaporate to dryness. That's true. That's true. When you evaporate the filtrate to dryness, obviously it's going to be iodine. So I think B is going to be the right answer. Let me check. B might be the right answer, but let me check C. X is filtered. That's right. And the residue, that's not. Residue cannot go for evaporation to dryness. That's not possible. Filtrate usually used to evaporate to dryness. So option C is incorrect. Y is distilled. Distillation is not possible. Y is distilled. Why is distilled? Because one is soluble and one is insoluble, which means we'll go for the filtration instead of distillation. So D is also incorrect, and therefore B is going to be the right answer. So that's the end of this paper.